Welcome back, everybody. My name is Zach Pasquarello, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how to manage accounts payable for your bookkeeping clients. I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide. It's official. I'm going to go live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars because I already marked my calendar. It's official. Every single Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm going live at 10 a.m. I'm going to skip Monday because I have a private group meeting that I do every Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's similar to this, but instead it's a group meeting where everybody's on camera, everybody can talk, share stories, ask questions. If you want to join that, there is a link in the description of this video. You can join the live private meetings every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can just join these every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. I'm going to go over some notes for the first 10 minutes, and then I'm going to open up for a live Q&A, live questions and answers. So if you want to join, you can join live. If you miss live, don't worry. I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel as a recording, and I'm also going to post it on my podcast. So if you haven't checked out my podcast yet, check that out. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. I have the exact same name, bookkeeping expert Zach Pasquarello. Okay, that's enough housekeeping. Let's jump right into it. It's Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, last day of September, last day of Q3 2025. We are going into month end close for you bookkeepers out there. I'm sure you're feeling the squeeze, feeling the pressure. We are getting ready to close out the books for September. But before we do that, let's talk about how to manage accounts payable for your bookkeeping clients. Let me give you a step-by-step guide. Let me tell you exactly how I do it. This is a great add-on service. I loved doing this. I loved offering this add-on service in the beginning when I was growing my bookkeeping business because it was a great way to get bigger bookkeeping clients, these bigger companies who need more help than just categorizing transactions and reconciling accounts. These bigger companies need somebody to manage their accounts payable. And so we can be kind of a medium, kind of a halfway point, kind of a good in between a traditional outsourced bookkeeper who just categorizes transactions and maybe a controller, in-house office manager, in-house bookkeeper, somebody more hands-on, more day-to-day. So we can, by offering accounts payable and accounts receivable management, we can kind of offer a good hybrid of those two. So I literally manage the entire process and I charge a premium for this service. Now, let me be honest. Before I get into the process step by step, let me be honest. Now that I have grown my business, I've got 75 bookkeeping clients. Now that I have 75 bookkeeping clients, I don't really want to offer this anymore because it does take a lot of time. It is time sensitive. You have to work weekly on your clients. You have to work weekly on their accounts payable, and it's usually pretty time intensive. So now that I've got my bookkeeping business to the point where I'm not trying to grow anymore, I don't really want to offer this service. But I am still very happy that I offered this service in the beginning because, like I said, it really enabled me to get bigger clients. I'm talking $2,000, $2,500 per month, bigger clients managing their accounts payable. And it got me a ton of good experience. I think like at the peak of my bookkeeping business, I had 3 clients paying me $2,000 a month for bookkeeping and accounts payable. And I had 2 clients paying me $1,000 a month for bookkeeping and accounts payable. Since then, I have slowly transitioned away from accounts payable, but I still have a couple clients who I manage their accounts payable for them. Okay, so step by step, full accounts payable management. Let's get into it. So first of all, you need a way of collecting this information. You need a way of collecting the bills. And so it can happen probably one of 3 ways. One, least desirable, you could have a separate email address. You could have a separate email address internal to that company. So it would be Zach at xyzconstructioncompany.com instead of Zach at harrisburgbookkeeping.com. And I would literally have to log into a separate email address, but all the bills get sent to that email. So maybe once, maybe twice per week, I log into that email address and I see all the emails, just basically like a long list of attachments. And then I'm able to take those bills and enter them into QuickBooks. That is my least favorable way to do it because I don't want to have multiple email addresses that I have to log into. But also, you kind of have to do that if there's a ton of volume. I don't necessarily want to get all of those emails throughout the day to my regular email address. So that's one option. The other option is if there's not a ton of volume, you could just simply get the emails to your regular email address. So instead of having Zach at xyzconstructioncompany.com, separate email, they just send me their bills, Zach at harrisburgbookkeeping.com. And then as I get them, I update QuickBooks. That's another option, but that only really works if they're one, maybe two bills per day, 10 bills per week. I don't want to be getting 3 to 5 emails every single day, 5 to 10 emails every single day. That's too much. I don't want to get that many emails. The third option, this is my most favorable, most desirable way for me to collect the information that I need. We have a Google Drive and we have 2 folders: invoices waiting to be approved, invoices approved for payment. So that is a very important step. The client needs to tell you these invoices are good to be paid. It's not up to me which invoices get paid. And that's a very important distinction between maybe a controller and a bookkeeper. A controller might be more in tune with the cash flow. The controller might be making more internal decisions, but I don't want to make those decisions. I don't want that liability. I don't want that responsibility. So instead, the client needs to have somebody who tells me, hey, these invoices are good to go. These invoices are good to be paid. So we have 2 folders in the Google Drive: invoices waiting to be approved, invoices approved. Invoices waiting to be approved, I don't even look at it. I never touch it. I never go in it. I've got nothing to do with that folder. The client sends me an email every Wednesday morning: hey, Zach, invoices are good to go. So I look at the invoices approved for payment folder, and let's say there's 30 invoices in there, 30 bills, 30 accounts payable. And then I'm going to enter all of those into QuickBooks, one at a time, each bill at a time, vendor, chart of account, amount, maybe attach the PDF to the actual bill in QuickBooks if you want. And then once I get all 30 bills matched and added into QuickBooks, then I can pay the bills. So then I'll go to pay bills in QuickBooks, top left-hand corner, click on the pay bills icon, and then you can select which bills you want to pay. And then I log into their treasury management, their online business banking account. I need to have my own username and password. So they need to give me access to their treasury management, access to their cash management, and this is how I pay their bills via ACH. And so, important step, your client needs to collect their vendors' banking information so that we can pay them via ACH. If it's a utility company or a township or a borough or some other company that doesn't have that, I'll have to mail them a check. But it's always preferred, at least my preference, to pay people via ACH. That way we're not waiting on checks to get lost in the mail. So client needs to collect vendors' bank account information. Client needs to give me, the bookkeeper, access to their cash management, treasury management, online banking system. They need to have ACH payments set up. And then once I get all the bills entered into QuickBooks, I have the vendors in their online banking system. And then it's just as simple as entering the payments into their banking system. And then you also want to make sure that you have some type of 2-factor authorization set up. So we need controls. We need internal controls. I don't want to be the one entering the payments and approving the payments. So ideally, I will enter them into the banking system, and then the company will have somebody else internal in their company approving the payments. That is a very important step. That way, if there's a mistake, mistakes happen. We're all human. That way, if there's a mistake, then hopefully the person internal to the company catches the mistake. So that's pretty much how I do it. And then I mark the bills as paid in QuickBooks Online, but you're not done yet. Then you need to wait until the transaction actually clears the bank to clear the transaction in QuickBooks. So you're manually creating a bill payment in QuickBooks Online, and then you match in the bank feed once the payment actually leaves the bank account. You match that payment to the manual bill payment in QuickBooks Online. So that's the whole process. I just explained it in 10 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. It's kind of confusing, but here's the cool thing. Once you learn how to do it, you can start offering this service to other people, other businesses. And once you learn how to do it, you can actually teach people, hey, I see you're manually writing checks, and that's just not an efficient way. I've got a better system for paying your bills. You can also use bill.com, or you can use QuickBooks Online to pay your bills, but that's pretty expensive. The best cost-effective way to pay bills is always going to be through your bank account treasury management. How much to charge? Great question. I charge $5 on average per month for accounts payable. So I will look at their 3 most recent months, just like I always do. Look at their 3 most recent months, count up their transactions, count up their accounts payable, find the average number per month, multiply that by 5, minimum $100. No matter how many accounts payable you have, if you want me to manage it, I'm going to charge you a minimum of $100. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop a comment in the chat. I'm going to do my best to get to everybody's questions. Before I do that, I do want to mention this video is sponsored by my investment fund, Zip Capital. So if you are an accredited investor and a US citizen, and if you want to possibly earn 8% up to 12% fixed returns, you can register on my website, which is linked in the description of this video. And also, I have a course that teaches you everything you need to know about starting a bookkeeping business. So I'm going to get to the questions in the chat. So if you haven't had a chance yet, if you've got questions about accounts payable, bookkeeping, QuickBooks, sales, marketing, onboarding, cleanup projects, quoting, client agreements, let me know what your questions are. And I also have a course. I've got a course for sale, teaches you everything you need to know. Everything that I just mentioned, the course goes over. It is linked in the description of this video. So accounts receivable, let's touch on that real quick. Accounts receivable, same concept as accounts payable. Different quoting process. I charge $10 per accounts receivable on average per month. Similar process though. The client emails me, here's an invoice that needs to be sent. I enter the invoice into QuickBooks with the customer and the service and the date and the terms and the amount and the description. And then I can send the invoice straight from QuickBooks Online to their customer. And then you can set up automatic reminders. So in QuickBooks, I set up automatic reminders 3 days after the due date, 10 days after the due date, 15 days after the due date. You can send up automatic reminders in QuickBooks Online. And then whenever the customer pays the invoice, you just mark the invoice as paid, just like you did with accounts payable. Mark the bill as paid, but we're marking the invoice as paid. And then last step, once the money actually gets deposited into the bank account, we match the bank feed transaction to the invoice that got marked as paid in QuickBooks. Very similar process. You can offer both to the same client. And so this is a great way for you to charge instead of $1,000, maybe now you add on an extra $500. This is a great way for you to get bigger clients who need more hands-on help. You can make more money, but just keep in mind it is more time sensitive and you will spend, of course, more time managing your clients. But once you learn how to offer this, you can definitely get some clients paying $1,000, $2,000, $2,500 per month. It's a great way to kickstart your bookkeeping business. All right, let's get involved in the questions here. Iris, good morning from Iris. Glad to be here. Thanks for being here, Iris. Kathy, good morning, Zach. Randall here. Nice to see you, Randall. To Kenny, Jeremy, good morning, sir. Josh, good morning from Pittsburgh. I'm in Harrisburg. Nice to see you, Josh. Brent, I thought I heard your wife was having a baby. Has the baby arrived yet? Yes. September 11th, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. on September 11th. Yes. Baby is doing great. Wife is doing great. Everybody's healthy. Thanks for asking. Lindy Sage, question. When you subcontract a bookkeeping client to another bookkeeper, does the client have to give them permission in QBO to allow access to their books, or do they somehow use yours? That's a great question. I have my own QuickBooks Online accountant account, and then the client gives me access. And then I can have team members. And so I can give team members access to my clients. So it looks like they just invite Harrisburg Bookkeeping, but then I can give my subcontractors access. I'm pretty sure though, if you look at the audit log, my subcontractor's name is Chris. If you look at the audit log, it should show up as Chris making the transactions and not Zach. I actually have to double check. I'm assuming it's probably like that, but the client doesn't have to give multiple people access to QuickBooks. The client just invites Harrisburg Bookkeeping, and then I give my team members access to my client's account. So I have 75 clients. Chris manages 5 out of 75, and then I manage the other 70. YouTube, good morning. Watched so many of your videos. First time catching a live. Thanks so much for being here. Greetings from Canada. So cool to see people all over the country tuning in. All over the world tuning in. I love that. Coastal Pink, is doing accounts receivable easier to do than accounts payable? No, I think it's not easier. It's probably more work. That's why I charge more. I charge $10 per accounts receivable, because we have to wait until they're paid, and then we have to set up the automatic reminders and potentially send more manual reminders. So no, accounts receivable, a little bit more work, but very similar concept. You're either creating an invoice or you're creating a bill. So very similar process. Coastal Pink, what's the potential pricing difference if you take on accounts payable versus services along with accounts receivable? I already answered that, but I'll just do it one more time. $5 per month on average accounts payable, $10 per month on average accounts receivable. One side note. So one thing that I did for the very first time last week, and I'm never going to do it again. I have a client who was struggling to collect accounts receivable. And so we were sending out automatic reminders straight from QuickBooks, and they weren't getting paid. So they asked me if I could use my email address to send a personal email, basically download the invoice, send a personal email to some of the customers who were late on payment. And I said yes, although I didn't love the idea. I said yes that I would do it. I did it one time, and the customer ended up getting upset. And basically they were like, hey, this is too much. You guys are sending too many reminders. I want to cancel services. So they weren't canceling services with me, but they were canceling services with my client. And I felt super uncomfortable because I was somehow stuck in the middle of this accounts receivable customer paying drama. And so now all of a sudden, Harrisburg Bookkeeping was tied to this drama and to this conflict with their client. And I seriously worried that I was going to get a negative review for my bookkeeping company, all because I sent a personalized email to their customer saying, hey, like here's your invoice. It's overdue. Please submit payment at your earliest convenience. I was super polite, super professional, but still they were frustrated that they were getting another email reminder about an unpaid invoice. And so since then, I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't want to be involved. I'll send automated, I'll even send manual reminders from QuickBooks, which is fine because that's just coming straight from QuickBooks. That has nothing to do with Harrisburg Bookkeeping. But I don't want to personally use my company, use my email address to send invoices to other people's clients, because then I get involved in the client drama, and I don't want my name to be involved in that. So I'm never going to do that again. Lesson learned. But yeah, let's see. Next question. Erica, how much would you charge if you only did their AP? $5 per. YouTube. Hi, just got my Pro Advisor level 1 cert last night. Congratulations. That's awesome. This channel has been a huge motivation. Watch every day during lunch break. That is awesome. So happy to be here. That's kind of the whole point. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm making these videos, because I want to teach you all what I know. Let's see. Johnny, I recently took on a client who has a line of credit. How do you handle that in QuickBooks? Any special tricks? No special tricks. There's just going to be some transfers. There's going to be some transfers from the line of credit to the bank account and vice versa. There's going to be some transfers from the bank account to the line of credit. Treat it like you would any other loan. You're just paying off the loan. The only difference is usually with a car loan or a building loan, you're not usually transferring money from the car loan to the bank account. So it's a little bit different. So now you're probably going to be transferring money from the credit card, from the line of credit to the bank account. And it's just like any other loan. So enter it into QuickBooks as a current liability, enter it as a line of credit, and then reconcile it every single month. So the only difference is sometimes whenever you make your line of credit payment, just like a loan, when you might pay $1,000 per month, but only 700 of that is going to go towards principal and 300 might go towards interest. So you still need to figure out how much of your monthly payment goes towards interest and how much goes towards principal. So you do want to reconcile that line of credit every single month, but it's pretty simple. Let's see. Daniel, I have my CPA and plenty of experience with QuickBooks. Any value in getting a QuickBooks Pro Advisor certification? Daniel, honestly, I don't think so. The only value is that you will be listed in their database. So if somebody goes to QuickBooks Online to look for a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor, you will show up if you are certified. If you're not certified, then you're not going to show up. So it is just one other database where you are listed, where you can potentially get clients. But I'll be honest, I get most of my clients from my own personal sales and marketing. I don't get too many clients from the QuickBooks Certified Pro Advisor database. But It might take you a couple days to get certified and it lasts an entire year. So maybe give it a try. Maybe just get the certification, wait a whole year. If you end up getting a couple clients, great. If you don't get any clients, maybe you don't renew after 1 year. But the only reason I recommend that people get that certification is if they have no experience. And then for a new client to be like, hey, do you have any experience? Instead of saying, no, I don't have any experience, you can say, yes, as a matter of fact, I am a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. But for you, with you being a CPA and already having experience, there would be really no external client facing benefit other than the fact that you get listed on that database and you could potentially get a couple clients from it, or you could not. So you never know. Living in Merced, California. It's a great YouTube name. Thanks for your videos. What, if any, benefit would there be in having a CPA license versus being a bookkeeping expert? Awesome job on your squat PR. Thanks for that. Thanks for that shout out. I wasn't going to bring it up, but you brought it up. I just hit 500 pounds on Friday, so feeling really good about that. I'm going to take a quick 5-second coffee break. I just announced the coffee breaks for people listening to the podcast, just so they don't think that the podcast shut off. Let's see. What's your question? Having a CPA license versus being a bookkeeping expert. So if you become a CPA, you're probably doing that for more advanced accounting, right? Tax strategy, tax filing, legal issues, representing your clients in front of the IRS. If you just want to do bookkeeping, here's the thing. If you want to make a ton of money, you can do anything. You could start a landscaping company, a photography company, a digital marketing company, and you can make a ton of money. You can start an online marketing company and make a ton of money. So if you want to make a lot of money, it doesn't matter what you do. But if you enjoy taxes, if that's been a lifelong goal of yours to become a CPA, and if you personally enjoy the idea of representing your clients in front of the IRS or helping clients with high-level tax strategy, then yes, absolutely, become a CPA. It's amazing. But if you just want to be a bookkeeper and just make a ton of money, you don't need to become a CPA. Here's another thing. I might ruffle some feathers. If you are only becoming a CPA for external validation, maybe your parents always wanted you to become a CPA, or maybe your spouse wants you to become a CPA, or maybe your friends from college, maybe everybody else got their CPA and now you feel like you're not good enough because you did not become a CPA. If you're only doing it for external validation, let me just challenge you. Okay. I've got 70 bookkeeping clients, 75 bookkeeping clients. At my peak, I was making $40,000 per month, much more than most CPAs, much more than most partners at a CPA firm. If you just want external validation, if you just want to make a ton of money, it's not worth it. You only become a CPA if that's truly what you want to do. But if you just want to start a bookkeeping business, great. You can also do that. Something else you could do is just start a bookkeeping business, get some experience, and then you can always go back to college and get your 150 credits. You can always pass the CPA exam later. So maybe start a bookkeeping business, try that for a year or two, see if you like it. And if you want more, if you want to go back to school and become a CPA, do that. Or not, or totally ignore my advice and just become a CPA right now. But ultimately, let me just say, do what you want to do. Do it for yourself. If you do it for anybody else, it's not going to ever make you happy. So just do whatever you want to do. Don't do it for external validation. Johnny Parkinson, my client has several employee credit cards under one main account. The main cards transactions sync to QuickBooks, but the employee cards don't. Is there a way to get all transactions to show up? It sounds like you're talking about the Chase credit card. Unfortunately, Chase credit card, for whatever reason, it's crazy. It doesn't work. So here's what I do. I ask my client to log in and send me an Excel spreadsheet of all of the Chase credit card transactions so that I can manually import them into the QuickBooks bank feed. Best case scenario, ask your client to just give you the login information so that you can log into their Chase credit card and you can download the CSV file of the transactions. If they don't feel comfortable with that, that's fine. Then they'll just have to download the CSV file and send it to you every single month. But yes, that does happen with Chase credit cards. It's very frustrating. I hate that it happens. But yeah, a lot of the credit card accounts, for some reason, American Express right now is going crazy and they're struggling to stay connected to the QuickBooks bank feed. So yeah, I just asked the client to either give me access to log in or send me the Excel spreadsheet, the CSV spreadsheet, the CSV file of the transactions. Rose Marshall, did I see you were launching a new training system, or did I have an old video? Not launching a new training system. I have a course for sale. I have a course linked down below. It teaches you everything you need to know, but no, I'm not launching anything new. If anything, honestly, I'm kind of done growing my bookkeeping business. Not that there's anything wrong with the bookkeeping business. I'm just moving on to growing my investment fund, Zip Capital. So I currently manage $3 million in Zip Capital, and my goal is to get to $5 million in Zip Capital. So the cool thing about, real quick, the cool thing about my investment fund is that I make about 10% spread on my money. So I make about 20%. And then I pay about 10% to my investors. So I'm making about 10%. So right now, managing $3 million, I'm profiting about $300,000 per year, managing that $3 million in Zip Capital. So once I get to 5 million, I'll be profiting $500,000 per year. And then honestly, I'm done taking on new bookkeeping clients. That's why I brought on my subcontractor, because any new clients I get, I'm just passing them right off to him. So he has 5 clients because I've received 5 new clients recently. So every single new client I get, I just pass right off to him. Let's see. Alan, other than real estate investors, are there any industries you've done bookkeeping for that you've really enjoyed? And are there any industries that you don't really enjoy? Construction companies, home remodeling companies, general contractors, landscaping, concrete, roofers, plumbers, electricians, painters. Those are all amazing clients. I love those guys. They're great to work with. Super simple books. Really appreciative of your services, and super successful, make a ton of money, have no time because they're constantly out working hard in their business. So those are great clients to have. Are there any industries you don't really enjoy? Restaurants. Most restaurants are not profitable. A lot of restaurants go out of business, and their bookkeeping is pretty complicated. They have payroll, sales tax, inventory, cost of goods sold, tips, a bunch of other things. I just don't like working with restaurants. Hey, Zach, thanks for all your videos. I currently have 7 clients. Congratulations. That's awesome. And it's all been by following your videos. I have a client who issues 10 or more checks a month. Would they be suitable for AP services? If they need help managing their accounts payable, you can certainly offer it. You can certainly ask to see if they need help managing their accounts payable. 10 checks per month, probably not. They probably don't need help, but if they do, you could at least ask. But yeah, congratulations on getting 7 clients. That's really impressive. That's awesome. So hopefully you're averaging maybe $400 per month. So by 7 clients, let's assume you're making $3,000 per month. That's incredible. That's amazing. That's a full-time job for a lot of people. So you're really crushing it. I'm proud of you. 7 clients is awesome. Honestly, getting the first 5 clients is just the hard part. Now you can open up the flood doors. Now it's just going to snowball. It's going to pick up momentum. It's going to grow exponentially. Now that you've got the 7 clients, you're probably going to get 7 more clients in the next 2 months. So that's awesome. Keep it up. DFOS. Hey, Zach, what's the most common way potential clients get in contact? Do they call, email, or fill out a form on your website? Most common way, honestly, probably social media DMs. Social media, because I'm really active on Facebook and LinkedIn. Social media DMs is probably the most common way. Other than that, number 2 is probably phone call. Number 3 is probably email. Number 4 is probably fill out a form on my website. Number 5 is probably text message. Very few people text me. A lot of people call me because they find me on Google My Business. Google My Business is so powerful. You have to get a Google My Business profile set up, get Google reviews, and make yourself available. Make yourself easy to reach. Put your phone number on there, have a website, put your phone number on there, have a contact sheet, have a free quote today offer on your website. If you go to my website, harrisburgbookkeeping.com, you can really quickly see how I have my website set up. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a good model that you can look at. I just want to make it super simple for people to contact me. Whenever people do send me a message on social media, very first thing I do is I call them right away. Usually it's a business owner. So I'll go to their profile and I will see their business page, and I would just call their business right away. Call their company. Hey, this is Zach. I just got a message from Tom. Looks like he was asking about bookkeeping services. Oh, Tom's not available. Can I leave a message? Sure. Oh, no. Hey, this is Tom. Oh, great. Hey, Tom, this is Zach. You just sent me a message on Facebook. Like, let's talk about it. Very first thing I do is I call them right away. If I can't find their phone number, Next thing I do is I ask them for their phone number. Hey, Tom, yes, I would love to help you with your bookkeeping. What's your phone number? Just get people's phone number. That way you can contact them quickly and efficiently. So anytime somebody messages me, boom, the first thing I do, ask for a phone number. Lewis, I feel out of place and unprepared. Oh no, I just lost my spot. Let me find it. I almost need somebody to manage these comments for me. Okay. Luis, I feel out of place and unprepared when it comes to reports and cash flow, but I basically 90% of the work needed. Am I overthinking? So bookkeeping starts with categorizing transactions. Honestly, the financial reports are just a byproduct of you accurately recording transactions and reconciling the accounts. As long as you record all the transactions and then reconcile all the accounts, the financial reports should be taken care of. So don't overthink the financial reports, overthink the reconciliation. The reconciliation is where you grade the test. I've given this analogy before. QuickBooks is the test, bank statement is the answer key. So you're taking the bank statement, taking QuickBooks, taking the answer key, taking the test, and you're grading the test. You're grading the QuickBooks. You're looking at the bank statement. You're looking at the answer key line by line and just making sure that every single transaction matches the bank statement. So overthink the reconciliation, but don't overthink the financial reports. Lindy Sage, thank you. You're welcome. Happy to be here. Do you ask all of your clients for bank access? No, I prefer to get bank access, but I don't require it. I do ask them. I say, hey, either you're going to have to send me all this information every single month, or you could just give me view only access and I can pull it myself. So it's definitely easier to get view only access, but I don't require it. Do you find this easier to record transactions instead of waiting on the client to respond to the weekly email? So I definitely require my clients to connect their bank accounts to the QuickBooks bank feed, but I don't require them to give me view only access to their bank account. Those are two separate things. Erica, is that 1 million amount your bookkeeping revenue, or is that how much you have given out for Zip Capital? That number right there, that number is how much money of other people's money is invested in Zip Capital. It's actually 1.3 million right now. I have 1 million of my own put into Zip Capital. I have 1.3 of other people invested in Zip Capital. And then I have 700,000 of loans given to Harrisburg Bookkeeping that I'm using for private money lending. So I have about 3 million lent out and 1.3 million technically of other people's money into Zip Capital. So I do need to update that number on the board. It's a couple weeks old. Fun fact, I got 8 new investors this month. How crazy is that? I had 7 investors at the end of August, and I had 8 investors at the end of August. I got 7 investors this month in September. So now I have 15 investors directly invested into Zip Capital. Brett Klein, if you are transferring a P&L from a different software to a new QuickBooks account and you add the income expenses in a journal entry, do you use owner's equity to equal out the debits and credits? So I would take the entire trial balance, not just the P&L. I would take the entire trial balance. So if you take the entire trial balance, all the numbers are going to match up. All the debits and credits are going to match. So don't just take the P&L, take the entire trial balance. The trial balance has the balance sheet and the P&L, all the accounts in there. So take the trial balance and enter in all the information, and then it should match up. Sod 756 Salmon. Hey, Zach, love your videos. Bless you. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Turmoil. What is the best way to truly learn QuickBooks? The Pro Advisor program is just videos without any actual practice. Am I missing something? So Turmoil, I might be a little bit biased, but my course has total full QuickBooks online tutorials. You can also watch Hector Garcia has a ton of great QuickBooks tutorials. You can watch a ton of free QuickBooks tutorials on YouTube. The only problem with that is that it's just a lot of information. So the cool thing about my course is that I very strategically, systematically take you through just what you need to know, just as much information as you need to be successful, but not too much information to overwhelm you. So that's the cool thing about purchasing a course. You can purchase my course or probably anybody else's course, and it'll probably be more expensive than, of course, watching free YouTube videos, but less time, less confusing, a more systematic way of learning. So yeah, that you can only learn so much by watching videos. Eventually, you just got to get in there and start practicing. So you can work on the sample company. There's Craig's Landscaping. There's a QuickBooks Online sample company where you can mess around. Another thing you can do, which is pretty cool, get a separate QuickBooks Online account, connect your personal accounts, personal bank account, personal credit cards to your QuickBooks Online account, your other account, and you can practice doing bookkeeping in QuickBooks with your personal accounts. You can do two things at the same time. You can practice and learn QuickBooks Online, but also I do this to budget my personal finances. Brian, hey Zach, reaching out to potentials on LinkedIn. Most don't have a connect button, just message. Is it okay to send a small intro message to them initially? How do I approach them, or do I? So Brian, what you might be seeing on LinkedIn is you might need to click like the three buttons on the right. So some people just have message as a first option, but if you click like next to the message button for more options, it'll actually probably give you an option to connect with them. Most people, you can connect with them. So I would maybe check that out in LinkedIn. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with sending people a message, but you can only send so many messages to people who aren't your connections. But just, yeah, so go to LinkedIn, you'll see more. You'll see a more button on the right, and chances are there's probably an option to connect with people after you click on the more button. But yeah, LinkedIn is a great place to find people. So definitely recommend keep connecting to people on LinkedIn. I send right now 30 connection requests every single day on LinkedIn to local people for Zip Capital. So I'm using LinkedIn to grow Zip Capital, but I'm using the exact same principles and strategies and concepts that I use to grow my bookkeeping business. So I create content every day on LinkedIn. I send 30 connection requests every single day on LinkedIn. And then I also send a message to everybody 30 days after I connect with them on LinkedIn. I send them a quick sales pitch on LinkedIn, and it's worked pretty well. I've booked a ton of meetings. I've booked a ton of coffee meetings with interested investors. So the strategy definitely works. You just have to be consistent. You have to create content every day, connect with people every day, engage with them, and send them a message 30 days after. All right, let's see. Trusting your process. Hey, Zach, this is Pam. Hey, Pam. I have a question about when someone gets a cash advance. How do you record that activity on the account? So chances are a cash advance is probably coming from a line of credit or a credit card. So that is just simply a transfer from the liability account to the bank account. Super, super simple. Just a transfer. Excuse me. Living in Merced, California. Thanks for the response. Absolutely. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop questions in the chat. I'm going to try to go live as long as I can. Can't make any promises, but I'm going to keep going. As long as you all are asking questions, I'm going to keep answering them. So I hope these videos are helpful. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm going to go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 a.m. So definitely keep tuning in, keep asking questions. My goal is to help you start and grow your own bookkeeping company. So as long as you're here, as long as you keep showing up, I'll keep showing up. I promise. Let's see. Norma Cox, thank you. Love your videos. Absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks for watching. Johnny, have you ever done virtual online networking events? What are your thoughts? No, Johnny, I have never done that. I have never done a virtual online networking event. I'm actually not a huge fan of in-person networking events. I know there's things like BNI and people have had success with those. I'm just not a huge fan of them. I'm much more a fan of just creating content on social media and connecting and engaging with people on the internet. But there's nothing wrong with BNI in-person networking events. So if that's your thing, keep doing it. But if that's not, here's the thing. If you want to do it, do it. Absolutely. No one's going to stop you. But if you don't want to do it, also don't feel pressured. You can totally be successful without doing in-person networking events. So if the idea of doing an in-person networking event stresses you out, makes you nervous, makes you uncomfortable, don't do it. But if you want to do it, then do it. You know what I mean? It's all up to you. That's the cool thing about being an entrepreneur. We have the freedom and flexibility to do whatever we want. Let's see. Iris, question. You suggested many industries you'd like to work with. Do you suggest promoting to all of them at one time or focus on one industry at a time? That is the $1 million question. To have a niche or to not have a niche. What do you want to do? What are your thoughts? Oh man, this is a tough question. So I'll be honest, I had a ton of success on YouTube. I created content and I did marketing to truckers. I had a lot of success getting trucking clients. But I also had a lot of success just generally advertising bookkeeping services on Facebook. So the answer is yes and no. The answer is it could work for you, but in the beginning, here's what I always recommend, and I'm going to stick with this. In the beginning, just get 10 clients first. Get 10 clients first because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know who you like working with. You don't know what kind of bookkeeping you like doing. So get 10 clients first. And then if you find a niche, if you find an industry that you love, go with it. Make that your niche. But then also when it comes to promoting and marketing, not every marketing channel has to be devoted to that niche. It doesn't have to be 100% all in. Like for me, YouTube was all about trucking, but Facebook was more general. My website has always been more general. So you could just pick one social media platform and maybe just go all in on a specific niche, specific industry on that one social media platform. So the answer is yes and no. A niche could absolutely work. You don't have to. If you want to, you can do it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Right now, I've got 75 clients and they're all over the place. Truckers, real estate investors, a couple restaurants, advertising agencies, an auto mechanic. I've got people all over the place. All right, let's see. Daniel, do you encounter many clients who want to go with you but go elsewhere? My kids are getting sick and I think I might be getting sick too. Sorry about that. Daniel, do you encounter many clients who want to go with you but go elsewhere since you don't provide payroll, sales tax, or quarterly tax filing services? Yes, some of my clients do go with other people, especially some of my clients will go with their CPA because their CPA just offers bookkeeping in like kind of a total package. So I do lose people, but I also partner with a local CPA. So if people do want that one-stop shop, that in-house service feel, I say, hey, listen, I'll do your bookkeeping. I partner with the CPA. He can do your taxes. So yeah, we're two separate companies, but we can handle it all for you. But at the end of the day, you can't please everybody. You can't please everybody. So you are going to lose people, but I still don't think it's worth it to offer all those extra services unless you really want to. But I don't think it's a good idea to offer payroll and sales tax and quarterly tax filing services. I would much rather just do bookkeeping. You can absolutely get clients who just need bookkeeping. Johnny, I want to grow closer to God and strengthen my faith. Any tips? Johnny, so I just got the Bible app and you can listen to, like, you can read the whole Bible in 1 year. And so every single day, I open up my Bible app and I'm doing like one day at a time. And I'm on day 55. I've never read through the entire Bible, but right now I'm on day 55 of listening to the Bible every single day. And so it'll walk you through, it'll kind of break it up. Like it'll start with a little bit of the Old Testament, a little bit of the New Testament. And you'll kind of go through the Bible one day, every day. The other thing is get involved with small groups or life groups at your church. If you have them, I think those are great to get connected with other people in your church. Going to church on Sunday morning is awesome. I love doing it, but also having small group, having life group is a great way to kind of build more relationships with other people and also build your faith. And then finally, honestly, this might be a taboo subject, but I increased my financial generosity over the past 18 months. And I think that has deepened my faith because it has forced me to put my faith and my trust in God and not just fully trusting in myself and basically trusting my resources to God. So I make a ton of money. We all know that. I make a lot of money through my bookkeeping business. And I believe that God has blessed me and my bookkeeping business. And so it was a struggle at first, but I have pretty much committed to giving back a lot of the money that God has blessed me with. And so I know generosity and tithing is kind of a taboo subject sometimes, but I think whenever you look at it from a good mindset and from the right approach, more so not so much buying your way into heaven. Obviously, you can't do that, but more so trusting God with my resources and trusting God with my finances, something that I am a total control freak about. That has just encouraged me to just trust God overall more so. So yeah, thanks for asking that, Johnny. MB, what is your solution for clients that don't have electronic statements? Only paper copies. I do not accept paper. I'm in my home office. Please do not mail me papers. So if they don't have the ability to download electronic copies, they have to scan it. They have to scan it. Pretty much everybody should get paper copies. Everybody should have digital copies unless it's a very small credit union that doesn't have electronic statements. But most of the time they should have electronic. If they don't, they have to scan it and then email it to me or scan it and upload it to a Google Drive. The Mental Chewing Gum podcast. Is it a good idea to make merchandise, a journals, a notebooks to sell also with your business? Like if you can't sell bookkeeping, you can sell info and tools. If so, can you name a top 5 things to sell? So I don't think that's a great idea. That sounds like a totally separate business selling merchandise. The one thing you can do is you can give away a free digital download. So I think that's a great idea. As a lead magnet, give away a free digital download. But here's the key. You got to make sure it's incredible. Make sure it's worth $100, but give it away for free. Don't give away some cheap, chintzy, bad Excel spreadsheet for free. That's not a good idea. If you're trying to use it as a lead magnet, make something that's incredible. Make something that's really good. But then here's the other thing. You're going to have to market and advertise that free thing. So whatever you want to do, you're going to have to do advertising and marketing. There's no way around that. So whether you just advertise and market your services or advertise and market your free giveaway, either way, you're still going to have to do advertising and marketing. Whenever I realized that, I was like, instead of giving away this free lead magnet and doing advertising for the lead magnet, why don't I just advertise and market my actual services? So that was kind of a big mindset shift and kind of a big realization for me. Whenever I realized that either way, I have to do advertising and marketing, I'm just going to market my services. I'm just going to talk about my bookkeeping services. I'm just going to give out free advice on social media, prove to people that I'm a bookkeeping expert, prove to people that I'm trustworthy, that I know what I'm talking about. So I really do keep it simple. I don't sell merchandise. I don't give away free digital downloads for bookkeeping clients. I just promote my services on social media. I just make short videos. I make content. I engage with people. I connect with people. I send messages. I truly, really do keep it super simple. Thank you for your responses, Zach. How do you handle bank reconciliations for an account that has never been reconciled and the client only wants you to do the current year and not go back? Get the December 2024 bank statement and just do a lump sum reconciliation. So just highlight all the 2024 transactions and whatever the difference is, do a journal entry to retained earnings or do a journal entry to owner's equity and let the client know, hey, here's your balance sheet as of 2024. Here's your bank account in QuickBooks. It shows $100,000. Here's your bank statement. It only shows $50,000 as of December 2024. So I had to do this $50,000 journal entry adjustment in QuickBooks to your bank account to reconcile 2024. Now, if you look at January 1st, 2025, now we have an accurate bank info in your QuickBooks. So just do the reconciliation for 2024, do one journal entry, tell your client what you did, why you did it, and now everything's reconciled. Now you can move forward to January just like you normally would. Let's see. Erica, what do you use for your website and how much is your website to maintain every year? I use Squarespace for my website. I think it's $20 per month. It could be a little bit more, not too sure, but I use Squarespace. I have a template. Squarespace hosts my website, $20 a month, might be a little bit more. Super, super simple. It's literally just a template and I just plugged in my words and my pictures. So super simple. Let's see. David, hi, Zach. Great work. How would I quote for a seasonal business that only makes money in the summer? Seems wrong to charge monthly when there are 1 or 2 transactions in the wintertime. Look at all 12 months. Look at all 12 months and average out their number of transactions over the past 12 months. And then that'll be their monthly bookkeeping fee. Or if they really don't want to do that, I don't know. I don't love the idea of mixing it up and charging different. So yeah, seriously, I would just look at 12 months of transactions, average it out per month, and then that's what their bookkeeping fee is. So if they have 1,200 transactions throughout the entire year, but the majority of them happen in the summer, they still have 1,200 transactions. So that's 100 transactions on average per month. I'm going to charge them $300 per month to do their bookkeeping. David, No, Daniel, are your bookkeeping clients mostly local to your area or located all over the country? 70% are local, 30% all over the country. That's the cool thing about social media. You can literally reach clients all over the country. Last question, Luis, should I try to get clients via job boards looking for bookkeepers? That's an okay strategy. I don't think it's the best because typically people who are looking for a part-time worker are pretty set on getting a part-time worker, in-house bookkeeper. But here's what you can do. Go to LinkedIn, go to Indeed, find people, get their email address, email them or call them and say, hey, my name is Zach. I own Harrisburg Bookkeeping. I see that you're looking for a bookkeeper. Have you ever considered outsourcing your bookkeeping to an independent contractor? So I can do all your bookkeeping for you, but instead of working part-time for your company, I would be outsourced working as an independent contractor. I already know QuickBooks. I'm a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. You don't need to teach me QuickBooks Online, and I can do your bookkeeping for you. So you could try to pitch that, but it's probably not going to work. Can I find that way that can work outside of my full-time work hours? Yeah, it's probably not going to work, but it could. And you never know. You never know what could happen. So you might as well try, especially if you have time. Trusting your process. Hey, Zach, I had asked you a question a few days back about the reconciliation screen that has all those transactions that have nothing to do with that month. How do I clean that up? So they're probably uncleared transactions. They are uncleared transactions. So if they never happened, maybe consider deleting them. Maybe they were incorrectly manually added in QuickBooks. Maybe they never actually happened. Maybe they're wrong, or maybe they're checks that have just not cleared yet. So if they're only 30 days old, 90 days old, maybe they're checks that just haven't cleared yet. But if they're manual entries, maybe they're just wrong. So you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to figure out, what are these transactions? Are they wrong? Are they right? Are they pending? Do they need to be deleted? Maybe voided? Maybe it's a received payment from an invoice that was never actually received. You got to be careful though, because if you delete the received payment, now that invoice is still going to be unpaid. It's going to show up in the accounts receivable. So it all depends on what kind of transaction it is. Is it wrong? Was it incorrectly added? But if it is wrong, if it was incorrectly added, then you can just simply delete it. Maybe talk to your client first. Maybe talk to the client, try to figure out what happened, why it's in there, and let them know, like, hey, it looks like these 5 transactions right here are all from January 2025. These look like they were just incorrectly added. If it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and delete them. Just always double check with a client before you delete transactions. Hey, Zach. Thanks, Zach. I want to expand on the electronic bank statement question. I can get PDFs, but I can't import into QuickBooks directly. Do you know of any services that can convert to avoid manual entry? So first, try to download the CSV file. I guarantee you almost all banks have the option of downloading a CSV file of transactions. So if that should work, that's your number one option. Try to do that first. If that doesn't work, then DocuClipper. DocuClipper is a good website that will convert PDFs into Excel spreadsheets. Super, super accurate. DocuClipper. I use it. I've used it in the past and it's great. Use DocuClipper. To Kenny, Jeremy, hey, Zach, I'm just starting my bookkeeping business in my country over here in Africa, where most small businesses don't care about their records. Any advice for me on how to go about it? Focus on people who do care. There are always going to be people who don't care about their bookkeeping, but there's also going to be people who do care about your bookkeeping. So just have confidence, have faith. There are people out there who need bookkeeping. Just focus all your energy on them. Continue creating content, continue talking about bookkeeping, talking about your business, talking about QuickBooks, and prove yourself as a bookkeeping expert. Prove yourself to be trustworthy, and clients will come. I promise you, there are people out there who care about their financials. All right, Daniel, do you encounter new clients still using QuickBooks Desktop, and do you always switch them to QuickBooks Online? Is this an easy transition, and are they typically on board with this? So I only work with QuickBooks Online. So if you want me to do your bookkeeping, yes, you have to switch from QuickBooks Desktop. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes they don't want to switch, but usually they are willing to switch because they're not doing their bookkeeping anyway, so they don't really care. But sometimes they don't want to switch. So I do lose people because they don't want to switch to QuickBooks Desktop, but it is a very easy transition. Technically, like the actual transition of data is super simple. You literally just create a QuickBooks Online account, go to QuickBooks Desktop, and convert the data into QuickBooks Online. And it happens within 10 minutes and all the data gets transferred through the cloud into QuickBooks Online. But it's not an easy actual bookkeeping transition because QuickBooks Desktop is totally different from QuickBooks Online. Totally different user experience, totally different software, totally different layout. So if your client, if the business owner is doing stuff in QuickBooks, definitely double check with them, let them know, make sure they're okay with switching to QuickBooks Online because it's totally different. So they might be really frustrated if they transfer from desktop to online thinking it's going to be a similar experience because it's totally different. So the actual conversion of data is simple, but doing the bookkeeping day to day, desktop versus online, is totally separate. All right, that's it for the video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Join me tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'll be going live again every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. on my YouTube channel. This video is sponsored by Zip Capital. So check out my investment fund offering 8% up to 12% fixed returns. You can register on my website and check out my course that I have for sale. Everything's linked down below. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.